Hi there and welcome to Mrs. Cadigan's tutorial videos. This is going to be a first attempt at this. If you guys like it, maybe we can do more of these. So today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a little of long division and synthetic division to really solidify what I want to see on this next test. So we're going to divide 6x cubed plus 2x minus 1 by x plus 2 using long division, and then we're going to check our answer using synthetic division. So the first step to doing long division is we want to make sure every term is represented in our original expression that we're dividing from. So we see that it has an x cubed term, and we want to make sure, and that's the highest, that's the degree of this polynomial, because it's the highest degree. We want to make sure that each degree lower than it is represented. Now, we see that it has x cubed, but there is no x squared term. It goes straight into our linear term. So we're going to have to represent that x squared term, and we think, well, how many x squareds are in this expression? And the answer to that is 0x squared. So we're going to rewrite this in long division form, representing that x squared term. We see it has a linear term and a constant, so we're good on the other ones. So we're going to take x plus 2, and we're dividing into this 6x cubed. Again, we don't have an x squared term, so I have to represent it with a 0 coefficient, 0x squared, plus 2x minus 1. And now, when we're doing long division, we need to divide binomial by binomial. So we're going to look at these first two sets of binomials. So the first two terms here, and we're going to see how many times this goes into 6x cubed plus 0x squared. To do this, we consider the terms with highest degree. So we're looking at the 6x cubed term and the x term. Now 6x cubed, how many times does x go into 6x cubed? Or what times x gives us 6x cubed? Well, x cubed means that we have 3 x's multiplied by each other. And in this one, we only have 1 x, so we still need 2 more x's. And we're missing a coefficient of 6 in front of this. So we need a positive 6x squared. This gets put above the x squared term. 1, this will help you remember to include the terms that aren't there. And 2, this is proper notation. You put it above that term. So the x squared will go above the x squared term. The x term will go above the x term, and the constant term will go above the constant term, etc. on any of these problems. Your book chooses to do it differently. This is the method I've always been taught, and it really helps to make sure that you're not forgetting a term representation. So then once we have what we figured out to multiply to this to get our 6x cubed, we multiply this number by the whole binomial. So 6x squared times x plus 2. 6x squared times x is 6x cubed, which is what we wanted. 2 times 6x squared is positive 12x squared. We group this and we subtract it. At this point, if you prefer, or if it helps you make less mistakes, you can go ahead and switch all of the signs, but all of the signs would need to be switched. So this would become positive, this would be negative, and this would be negative. So I don't usually write it that way, so I'm going to stick with my normal notation. Either way is fine, as long as you remember the parentheses here in either case and the minus out in front. If you want full credit on your test, that's what you'll need to show me. So 6x cubed minus 6x cubed, that's gone. 0x squared minus 12x squared is negative 12x squared. So we can't divide a binomial into a monomial, or a one-termed expression. We have to divide it into a binomial. So that means for this one we have to bring down the next term, which is our positive 2x. That's going to come down plus 2x. And now we have a binomial. We consider the ones with largest degree, which is our negative 12x squared and our x, and we think, how many times do I need to multiply x by to get negative 12x squared? Well, this has two x's in it because it's x squared, and this has 1, so I'm going to need one more of those. And our coefficient is negative 12. So this will be minus 12x. Now we take this minus 12x and we multiply it by this whole binomial. So minus 12x times x is negative 12x squared. Minus 12x times 2 is minus 24x. We group it and subtract it. Again, really important to remember to group it, put it in parentheses, and subtract it. Again, at this point, if you would like to switch all the signs, feel free to do so. This would become positive, this would become positive, and this would become positive. Negative 12x squared minus a negative, so that's plus 12x squared, is gone. 2x minus a negative 24x is positive 26x. Again, if you don't see this, go ahead and switch the signs, because then this would become a positive 24x. So we really have 2x plus 24x, which is 26x. And now again, we can't divide a binomial by a monomial, so we have to bring down that next term. So we bring down the negative 1. Don't forget the sign associated. So minus 1. Now we have to think, what can I multiply by x to get me 26x? Well, they both have 1x, so we're good on that, and we're just missing the coefficient, so we need to multiply it by 26. So plus 26. And now we need to multiply 26 by this whole binomial. So 26 times x is 26x, and 26 times 2 is positive 52. We group it, put it in a parentheses, and subtract it. At this point, if you want to switch the signs, this would become a plus. This would be negative 26 and negative 52. 26x minus 26x is gone. Negative 1 minus 52 is negative 53. And this is what we're left with. We have no more terms to bring down, so we can't do any more binomials, and this is our remainder. So this is remainder negative 53. And this is our answer. So if we divide 6x cubed plus 2x minus 1 by x plus 2, we get an answer of 6x squared minus 12x plus 26 with a remainder of negative 53, and it's certainly okay to have a negative remainder. And I would box that. Now let's check our answer with synthetic division, which is a great way on this test. It's really quick. If you get synthetic division really quickly, I would check your answers with your long division. Make sure everything went right with it. Again, synthetic division starts off exactly the same way as long division did. We have to write it out in long division form to begin. And we have to represent every term that wasn't represented with a 0 coefficient for it. So we're going to rewrite this. We've got x plus 2 into 6x cubed plus 0x squared plus 2x minus 1. So same setup for both, identical. Now, for synthetic division, the first thing we want to consider after we've written it into the form that we need, the long division form, we want to consider what is going to make this expression 0, this binomial, x plus 2. It's the 0 of this factor. So what do I need to plug in for x to make this 0? And the answer to that is negative 2. And that goes in a little box. I put it in a box to keep it separate from the next few things which we're going to bring down, and that's all the coefficients. We're going to bring down the 6, the 0, the 2, and the negative 1. Make sure you bring down the signs associated. So 6, 0, 2, and negative 1. Leave a little space and draw a line.